So I've noticed this on the internet that people write book therapy without realizing what they're saying. So are the two terms, bibliotherapy and book therapy, are different? Are they interchangeable? I understand why people use this, but are they really that similar? On the surface, they sound like the same thing. Books, healing, reading, a kind of soft focus idea that literature is emotionally useful. But then what actually the same term? And more importantly, they don't come from the same place. Let's start simple. Bibliotherapy is the older, more formal term. It has been used in psychology and library science for a long time. Early 20th century, but even earlier if you trace the idea rather than the word. There are records of reading as treatment in Greek and Egyptian traditions where texts were literally used in healing spaces. There's a well-known inscription above libraries in ancient Thebes that translates roughly to medicine for the soul. That idea is not poetic framing, it is a historical position. Books as psychological tools. Now, book therapy is newer. It's informal. It shows up in wellness spaces on social media and branding. It doesn't have a fixed definition. It usually just means reading helps you feel better, which is true but also incomplete. Because bibliotherapy is not just about feeling better, it's about structure. It asks questions like, what emotional state is this person in? What kind of text interacts safely with that state? What kind of books challenge it? What does this book activate in someone? Book therapy doesn't usually go that far. It stays at the level of comfort. And comfort is fine, but it is not the whole practice. There's another difference people miss. Bibliotherapy, in its most developed form, it is interpretive. It involves reading with awareness of effect. Not just did I like this book, but what did this book do to me while I was reading it? The difference sounds small, but it isn't, because one is consumption, the other is observation. Let me put it in a more practical way. You can read a book to escape your mind, or you can read a book and notice what your mind does while reading it. Bibliotherapy belongs to the second category. Now, I should also say something that tends to get blurred online. Bibliotherapy is not necessarily therapy in the clinical sense. It is not a replacement for mental health care, but it does borrow a way of thinking from clinical practice: attention, matching, sequencing. In a clinical setting, bibliotherapy can look structured. A practitioner might actually prescribe texts. In less formal settings, it becomes self-guided but still intentional. Book therapy, as it's usually used online, doesn't require that layer. It's more intuitive, less precise. Neither is wrong, but they are not interchangeable either. One is framework, the other is a feeling. There's a reason I keep using bibliotherapy specifically in this channel. Because I'm not really interested in books are comforting as a conclusion. That's obvious. What interests me is something slightly more precise. Why this book? Why for this person? Why at this moment? And what happens next? Because literature is not neutral in how it meets a reader. It has timing, it has emotional specificity. It behaves differently depending on who is holding it. And most readers already know this without naming it. You reread certain novels only in specific years of your life. You avoid certain books when you're already tired. You find poetry unbearable at some points and necessary at others. That is not aesthetic preference, that is interaction. So when people ask me about book therapy versus bibliotherapy, I usually say this. One is a phrase people use when they're trying to describe comfort. The other is a practice that tries to understand why comfort works and when it doesn't. And those are not the same question. I think that's the distinction. And it matters more than it sounds like it should. Because once you see reading as something that acts on you, not just something you consume, you stop treating books as background noise for your life and start noticing them as part of it. I know I do.